Hello, everyone. This is Devendra Shrikande. I'm delighted to join you for this wonderful session on Sky UX. In fact, if I was not moderating the session, I'd probably be in the audience with all of you right now. Kerry Campbell will be joining us in just a couple of minutes here. She is sorting out some minor technical issues. Before we get started, I just want to make a quick mention. Please take advantage of the chat to share comments and communications within the group. But do remember, we also have a Q&A section of this cast where you can post your questions. So we request you, if you have any specific questions for Kerry, please go ahead and post them in the Q&A section of that. And any comments and feedback that you have, you're welcome to post them in the chat area here. So looking forward, I think Kerry will be joining us in a couple of minutes here. So,
can you hear me? My video is still frozen. Is my PowerPoint sharing?
No, I'm seeing a black screen at the moment.
Okay, let me jump out of Goldcast and back in. One moment, folks. Sorry about that.
No worries. So I see that we have quite a group here. Is anyone familiar with Sky UX, or is this some of you joining this for the first time? Ah, okay. Righty. First timer. Oh, here we well, perfect. Okay.
Hey, I move now, so that's great. An improvement. Welcome. Let me go ahead and share.
Yeah.
Go ahead and share. Quick.
All righty.
All right. Hopefully this doesn't crash again. Here we go. All right. Thank you all for joining. This is the introduction to Blackbaud's design system and what Sky UX can deliver for designers, developers, and users. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're already a couple minutes behind. So hi, I'm Kerry Campbell. I'm the technical product manager here at Blackbaud for our design system, Sky UX, which is what we call our design system. I also own a number of other platform capabilities that surround the user experience, like VBID and navigation. So if you've noticed updates to the buttons on the sign-in page, or probably more noticeably, the left-hand navigation within RE/NXT, then you've seen some of the recent work I've helped our product teams deliver. And although my title and role might suggest otherwise, I am not a designer nor an engineer. I definitely been able to pick up some of the lingo over time, but work with an awesome team of developers and designers here at Blackbaud. So they really make my job easy today, because I get to speak to all the amazing work that they've done and that we've worked on together. I do live here in the Portland metro area out here in Oregon. So if you're a West Coaster out there, I hope you have just enjoyed a nice lunch and are not too ready for a nap. And because what presentation isn't complete without an agenda, here's ours for the next 30 minutes. I'm going to walk you through the overall goals of the design system and what values it can drive for our users. Then we'll explore how you can use Sky UX within add-ins to help deliver and drive behavior for your users, as well as touch on what new functionality we have coming for Sky UX. And then we should have time for questions at Q&A by the time we get through all of that. And again, put those in the Q&A slot inside the webinar. All right, so as I said earlier, I am one of our platform product managers here at Blackbaud, and we focus on enabling developers both inside and outside of Blackbaud. So in working to make delivering software easier, we enable our product teams to drive value around features that are needed to customers, as opposed to working on kind of the nuts and bolts of the system. So making those tools available to you all, we enable the extensibility of Blackbaud products as well. So I'm assuming everyone here is familiar already with Sky Developer Platform, or you've been hearing about it in other sessions. And to be honest, I'm sure many of you are far more knowledgeable of how to use the Sky Developer Platform than I am. And we're here just to talk about kind of a small part of the Sky Developer Platform called Sky UX. So our design system here at Blackbaud plays a role in defining where and how extension points within our products can be built. So it enables cohesion within the product. It can also be used to define what user experience is for an add-in. Now, SkyUX is by no means the only way you can build an experience that extends our products, but it's a great framework. It's repeatable and patterns that users come to expect within our system. And so understanding our design system patterns can also help you know why and how we enable extensions throughout our existing products. This is going to go. All right, so here we go. What is a design system? So as I've said design system a bunch of times by now, so what does that mean? So the primary goal of a design system is rather simply explained as providing a way to help users anticipate the interaction within a product. So given this is intended to be an introductory level session, I'm going to work on breaking out the deliverables of a design system into a few parts. So one part of a design system is the style guide. An oversimplification of this part of the design system could focus on just the color elements of the product. Having part of the UI drastically unaligned with the rest of the surrounding product can cause confusion or uncertainty in the experience. So and the uncertainty kind of comes in small ways, like for them thinking, well, I usually have blue buttons that tell me where to focus my attention for an action, but now all I see are green buttons in this space. This can lead to less adoption of a feature or lower the user's feeling just around the visual cohesion of the experience. We can also look past the outer paint of the design system when we can consider how to apply it. So design guidelines, they help define where to apply the different visual treatments to the user experience. So think about our blue and green buttons again, where the style guide tells us we should be using blue for buttons. The design guidelines tell us that blue buttons are actually reserved for just the primary action on the page. So not all your buttons are blue, actually. Only the most important actions that you want to call attention to are actually blue. The rest should maybe be white. The guidelines help further standardize the user's expectations when they interact with a product. Further down the rabbit hole, we get to design of the design system, we get to the design patterns. So these are common UI elements used throughout the product. So we've talked about buttons, but other UI elements might be data grids or input fields. They can also be larger things like page structures. So for example, we have design patterns for record and list pages, as a lot of our products are heavily rely on record pages about constituents, about students, about donors, and list pages that are usually the entry point into those records. Then finally, we come to the component library. So the component library helps drive reuse of common code and reduces the time to market for new features. So at its simplest, it's just a shared library that combines as much as possible of the styles, guidelines, and patterns into a technical implementation that helps consumers do the right thing out of the box. This is the part that I work with on the platform side within engineering to help drive that reusable component library. And that is available to you all open source. So I want to call out, there's kind of different levels of adoption we can consider for external consumers of the design system. We in no way require external developers and partners to utilize the SkyUX design system to integrate into our products. We do provide the design and technical resources open source, though, to share with the larger community the knowledge and effort that we put into it. So when considering what, if any, of SkyUX you want to be adopting with inside your workflows, I've kind of broken it down into a few different levels. So first is what I think of as the kind of like all-in on Angular, as it utilizes our component library where the previously covered concepts are baked in. So this is what internally we have set for all net new feature development, as it aligns teams across our products on the same framework and allows the reuse across products. So all Blackbaud teams are all in on Angular. They're developing with Angular and SkyUX components. So there's new work we are doing here too around product branding and user modes, that using Angular components to deliver your add-in experience would improve the visual cohesion in the future. We'll talk a little bit more at the end about that. But there's more value than before in using the components themselves inside your add-ins. So, however, adopting Angular and SkyUX components, the technical implementations, is not always an option. We have a couple other options that you can use to build your user experience if you use some other coding framework, React or Vue, or you just don't have the bandwidth to take on adopting a new visual library. So one of those ways would be to use SkyUX as kind of like a design template to help shape your user experience and make it kind of feel like ours. So understanding how overall the connection between different products within Blackbaud happen. If your user experience that you're designing for an extension point also follows those same patterns, that's helpful. If there's no ability to do that and you're building an add-in, the kind of like lowest hanging fruit is just like we were talking about those blue and green buttons, the style sheet. So utilizing the styles for colors and spacings that within your existing UI can help blur the lines for end users and create a stickier extension point with inside the products. So all of these pieces are available on our doc site. Our style sheet and all of those values are usable and consumable by you all. All right. So I'm going to make the pitch now. Why specifically Blackbaud's design system and SkyUX? Why there's value in kind of going all in there. So first, one of the main benefits I always like to call out about to all of you, our external consumers around the design system, since my internal consumers don't really have a choice. But for external consumers of the design system, it's a proven design system specific to the social good space. And it's also a decade old. So we have many designers and engineers working to ensure that we have user experiences that meet needs and use cases similar to those of the users that you interact with as well. So utilizing SkyUX means that you can benefit from all of that development that has gone into the design system and also the continuous maintenance and compliance work that we do if you adopt directly the Angular components. So some of the fundamental philosophies we have here at SkyUX. First is consistency, which is one of our main drivers right now of the work we're doing. And it's really kind of the foundation the design system is built on. The more we can provide a consistent and expected experience, the easier our products will be for users. Ease of use, and these are all kind of dual-sided, so this can be thought of in several different ways. So making the end user have an easier time using the product is typically top of mind for the design system. Within SkyUX, we also focus on the ease of use to extend beyond the user's experience, but also the implementation ease of use, so the technical and internal users, designers, and developers holistically. Efficiency. So an outcome of an easy-to-use system would be efficiency for users of the design system and the experiences created from the design system. We work to remove a lot of the like how is or should this be done from designers and developers so they can instead focus on answering the important user questions and not spend time figuring out what color buttons. And I need a better example of button colors at some point. From an end user's perspective, though, by creating a design system that prioritizes efficiency, we also help make sure our end users, our customers, focus on their primary needs and ideally not leave them wondering, how do I use this product? Accessibility. So web accessibility has been a top priority for SkyUX for some time now. So there's a wide range of users who utilize our software, and providing them with a welcoming experience that also meets their needs is key. So SkyUX is built with accessibility in mind, from considerations like color contrast of our visual elements to built-in assistive technology support. Think things like screen readers. We also continue to provide out-of-the-box functionality to meet digital accessibility requirements that are evolving in the current digital accessibility space. All right, and then finally, we have a focus on quality. So We provide testing capabilities and ongoing maintenance of our components. So we actually just wrapped up a multi-year long project around enabling Angular test harnesses for all of our components. These provide a standardized API for automated testing, access to our component features. This gives developers the right tool set to make sure changes that they make don't have unintended consequences. So you can have all of that automation built into the code. We also know that front-end software development space is really fast-moving. It's constantly changing, and security vulnerabilities on the front end are ever evolving. So SkyUX is built using Angular. It's a framework provided by Google. And we maintain the open source SkyUX component library to the twice-a-year release that Angular does. So this makes sure that we maintain our packages up to date for any vulnerability remediation that's required. It also ensures that we're adopting the latest and greatest front-end functionality that's available through the framework and maintaining browser standards. So hopefully by now you can see that there are many inputs into the design system, and it's not something that could ever be really considered done. So one of the reasons I love working on SkyUX is because we're constantly learning and looking for ways to feed that back into the design system. All right, so one driver for feedback is from our users. So when SkyUX was first developed, the primary users of the products supported by the design system were what we refer to internally as back office users. So those users tend to prioritize efficiency and ease of use over the look and feel of a product. As more products onboarded to using SkyUX, the user base changed. The design system now needed to also support users like K-12 students, for example. So, I watched a group of teenagers one time provide feedback on our design system, and it was one of the more engaging user sessions to have sat in on. It was just very interesting watching middle schoolers use our products. So supporting new groups of users often lead to those new design and functionalities. So on a following slide, I'll actually talk about how one of our new user groups soon coming to SkyUX is enabling. All right, so we have users. Another driver for change is new product features. Another driver for change coming from products is that they can often identify a need where product has a UX designer and engineers who iterate through different solutions to feature development. So they're working on solving a specific problem. Once that specific problem is developed and tested, the product team can then provide any insights that they gained from their research back into the design system. So then we could have clearer design guidelines. Why did they have to work through a problem, and what did the design system not provide for them? And then future teams who are solving problems around the same space will get the benefit of those teams providing the feedback within the design system. So we have things like completely new components come out of this kind of work, or just better design guidelines and more written rules around how to utilize SkyUX. All right, one last driver to focus on is regulations that our consumers are required to meet. So an example here is accessibility, which we can improve and adapt within the design system, and more specifically within the components. So as new requirements come out for WCAG 2.2, which is the Web Accessibility Compliance Guidelines, they're required within currently the UK, and I think soon in the EU, if not already. I need to check in on that. But as those new requirements came to be, we were able to review SkyUX components for where gaps are found. So where we did find gaps, a number of them were actually able to internally manage the functionality that was needed for the component. And then all of the product teams that were utilizing that component was able to receive the benefits. So these can be things like the contrast ratios weren't good enough, or we didn't have the right kind of screen reader accessibility functionality. And these are 3 examples. They're by no means the only ways that we see changes within the design system. But even just within these examples, you can see that by leveraging SkyUX, the benefits from all the effort over time that Blackbaud puts into it as we make our products, you can also gain from the interactions that you're building for your own users. All right, how are we doing on time? I think we're doing good. So what's next for Sky UX? So this is kind of a high level, and I'll be going actually into a lot more detail of the work we're doing in another session tomorrow. But our focus this year and most likely into next year is really around how we can further reduce the complexity and lower our internal maintenance costs of the design system. So at a high level, Sky UX is a decade old and has been built up quite a bit of tech debt over time. We all love tech debt because we've been delivering it on new technology stacks and supporting different types of users. So all of that learning and iterating that we were just talking about over time at some point needs to be reconciled. Last year, I actually talked around some work that we did for Sky UX around simplifying the adoption of form fields into standardized inputs. That's another one of those examples where just looking holistically at the design system and the components that are driving it, we found that there was different types of adoption over time of technical features that once we standardized, it just made it easier for everyone involved. And it was a lot less code for us to maintain. So this year, we're focused really on supporting multiple product brands internally as our Just Giving product continues to have success with their own product branding, but looking to adopt functionality from the platform capabilities that we have. So we want to be able to provide platform capabilities to our Just Giving users in a brand with styles that they recognized from their existing product. One of these we actually already accomplished. We already have just a single set of icons that released in our latest major version from April. We had like 3 sets of icons across different themes, and it was just a lot to maintain. So that one's done, and I'm excited to have checked that one off the box. And then the biggest one for most users of our products will probably be the one primary theme. That's actually the main topic of the session I have tomorrow. It's around how we're aligning the modern visual theme over the next couple of years so that the user experience doesn't feel disjointed within our products. And just because I feel like a preview and pictures are worth 1,000 words to hopefully get you to come to that session tomorrow, here's an example of some of the things that we're looking at enabling. So just a teaser, these are mock-ups out of Figma. These are not technically implemented yet, so just all the caveats put on that. But we're looking at adding some more color and depth into our existing modern theme. And currently we're looking on track to be able to release that as part of our version 13 this fall. So that's coming in sooner. A longer runway, but something we know will excite a lot of users already in the chat, will be the ability to enable dark mode within our products. So still working on solving that, but all of this work around standardization, around component usage and styles is allowing us to lean into these additional modes. So this is, and it gets to these user modes is really why if you build add-ins currently, using Sky UX components with little to no style overrides will enable you to get these features. So if you have an add-in with Sky UX, we'll be passing the branding and mode information into the add-in so that so that the add-in, not you, the add-in can respond to the correct theme, brand, and mode that the user set, that the host page is doing. So it's one of those reasons that adopting Sky UX components for your add-ins is kind of the next step along the journey. So seriously, pitching it. Come tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk more around those changes coming. Okay, and with that, I've reached the end of my prepared slides. So I'm happy to answer questions folks might have. Also, feel free to reach out to me via email if you have any questions that come to mind later, or if you have a specific use case you are interested in talking about, I'm happy to chat. So let me pull up the chat here. I see a lot of exciting chat messages around color. Let me go to the Q&A. Will this pass on to the donor portal? Oh. I don't know how to make this
Yeah, we had a question
easier to
about,
see. Sorry,
sorry, we had a question from Michael about, is there a need to learn Angular? He has learned React and doesn't want to complicate things. So if you can get a chance to
yeah,
put some.
so yeah, SkyUX is built on Angular. So if you would like to utilize the SkyUX components directly, we would suggest you learning to use Angular. Angular has really adopted some of the more like nuanced practices of React. They're becoming more and more like, at least that's what my my engineers say. But we don't have any plans currently to enable SkyUX with React. So Angular is the choice there as far as frameworks.
Michael also had a follow-up.
Let's see, and will this pass through on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go. You got it.
Yeah. Will this pass through onto the donor portal? It depends on what you mean by donor portal, and I probably need to get a little bit more information on what you mean by that. The donor portal, the external like donor facing, the online donation forms, that's the word I'm looking for. Donation forms have their own level of branding and pieces that apply to them. So a lot of the branding and user modes we're talking about are going to be for more of those probably back office users, as well as for probably students. But on the actual like online giving forms, those are probably going to be still more stylized based on what online giving defines. When will CRM be converted to SkyUX, and will it affect customization functionality? I actually joined this BBCRM pub, when was that? A month ago. And I got to talk about SkyUX specifically for those CRM customers. So I don't know the exact timeline on CRM being fully converted, but SkyUX is being adopted. The way it is being adopted will mean that you can have the like dark mode or different mode pieces. Those should be enabled within CRM2 when we enable them within SkyUX. And then the customization functionality within CRM, there's a couple different pieces that could mean, but the overall like skinning and being able to change the colors, it will affect that. And I would point to the CRM team for more specifics on what the plans are and how to be specific around what those impacts will be. To confirm, SkyUX is what Blackbaud CRM will eventually be updating to. Yep. For self-hosted clients, my understanding is yes, CRM is also having the self-hosted clients adopt SkyUX. All right, any resources for how to start using SkyUX? So if you go to developer.blackbaud.com, there is a button on that landing page for SkyUX. Our documentation is all external facing. You don't have to be authenticated to see that. But you can go ahead and check out a lot of our resources there on how to start using SkyUX. For real beginners, I would say like start with Angular has its own its own getting to know like how to use Angular. Their like tour of heroes, I think is what they call it, that you can utilize to also get more knowledgeable on Angular if you need to. Okay. I think I got through all of them. Yep, so the slides and the recording are all going to be made available after the session ends. And I think with 5 seconds to go, I will say goodbye to everyone. Thank you all for joining, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Enjoy BB Dev days. See you soon. See you in another session. Bye.
Yes. Bye.
Thanks.